So, what comes to mind when you hear the words film festival? I bet it's red carpets, right? Flashing cameras, famous directors, maybe the discovery of the next big indie darling. It's an image of pure glamour and artistic celebration. But today we're going to pull back that curtain and look at a very different story, one that suggests there's a pretty serious business operating just behind the scenes. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of the argument we're exploring. It's a provocative idea for sure. The claim is that for a whole lot of aspiring filmmakers, that dream of getting into a festival is built on a system that might be more interested in their wallets than their actual work. Now look, this critique isn't saying every single festival is like this, but it definitely raises some tough questions about a big part of the industry. To really get our heads around this, we have to start where you always start with these kinds of investigations. You gotta follow the money. The way a lot of these festivals are structured financially, according to our source, is the absolute key to understanding how this whole system allegedly works. Okay, so if we're going to use a strong word like scam, how does it actually work? What are the mechanics? Well, the source material breaks it down pretty clearly, and it all starts with something it calls the submission fee machine. Okay, so check this out. Step 1 is simple. Thousands and thousands of filmmakers, full of hope, pay a fee to submit their film. But then you get to step 2. A tiny group of programmers has to somehow get through a literal mountain of submissions. So the argument, as you see in step 3, is that it's basically impossible for every film to get a real fair wash. Just think about it. All those fees are pouring into the system, but most of those films might be out of the running before anyone even presses play. And you know what? Those submission fees are really just the tip of the iceberg. This whole financial engine is also running on super expensive VIP passes. You know, the ones that promise you'll rub shoulders with the right people. And maybe most importantly, huge corporate sponsorship deals. And that leads to a really thorny question. When a massive brand is bankrolling a festival, does that even subtly influence which movies or which messages get that coveted spotlight? But this isn't just a story about money. The financial model, as the argument goes, is just one side of the coin. The other side, and maybe the more frustrating one for filmmakers, is all about access. It's the idea that these festivals can be like an exclusive club, where the password isn't your amazing script, it's your contact list. Just take a look at this chart. It's a breakdown of who supposedly gets those precious programming slots. Now see that little slice for true discoveries? That's the unknown talent, the person who breaks through on merit alone. According to this view, it's often the smallest piece of the whole pie. The bigger chunks, well, those are for agency packages, films repped by big, powerful agencies, and the so-called friends of the festival. And that could be anyone from board members to sponsors to directors who already have a guaranteed spot. What this creates, according to the source, are two completely different realities for filmmakers. You've got the outsider, who has to climb this huge mountain of submission fees and just claw their way to get noticed. And then you've got the insider, who basically gets to take the escalator. They can use their connections, maybe even skip the fees, and in some cases, they're already pre-selected before submissions even close to the public. And what's the end result of all this? A kind of creative echo chamber. Instead of being a launchpad for fresh, exciting new voices, some festivals just end up showcasing the same established names, year after year. It reinforces the status quo and makes it incredibly hard for anyone new to break through the noise. Okay, so if the whole process of even getting into the festival might be skewed, what does that say about the grand finale? You know, the awards themselves. This brings us to the final and maybe most cynical layer of the argument, the politics of the prize. I mean, it's the next logical question, right? If getting into the party is more than just about how good your film is, does the same thing apply to winning the big awards? The source material we're looking at suggests that, yeah, the very same forces are at play when it's time to hand out the trophies. This table really lays it all out. On the left, you've got the official stuff, what we all hope the judges are looking for: artistic merits, originality, powerful storytelling. But on the right, that's what the source claims are the real criteria. Things like, does the film already have a big distributor backing it? Does it fit certain political narratives? Or, and this is a big one, does it help the festival fulfill some kind of unspoken quota, making sure the winners list looks perfectly balanced, totally separate from the quality of the films themselves? The argument here is that the best film doesn't always win. So, after digging into the money, the connections, and the awards, we kind of have to zoom out and ask the really big question. What does all of this actually mean for cinema itself, for the art form? So let's just boil this whole